Hey guys, Mo back again. I've been using the Google Pixel Fold for a full day, and here's my experience on day 2 in the life of this phone. In this video, I'm just going to talk about some thoughts of actually owning this phone, and I'll keep doing that for the rest of the week, and by the end of the week, I'm going to do a 1-week recap review. So I'm just going to fire off some thoughts that I have, brainstorming session, and let you guys know how I feel about this phone after using it for one day. First impression, when I first picked up the phone, it feels super heavy, and when I go back and forth using the Google Pixel Fold and holding the 7A again, the 7A feels light as a feather, and it's actually a really good feeling. The Fold is nice in theory, and it is fun to use. I like the idea of it, but it's not really practical to use with one hand, because when I'm using it with one hand, since it's so heavy, I have the phone rest on my pinky, and after using it for about 5 to 10 minutes, I notice that my pinky finger does get sore due to the fact that the phone is so heavy, and you don't really feel that when you're using a regular candy bar shaped phone that it is much lighter. Using it with one hand, sometimes when I'm feeding my baby, I don't have two hands to open it up and use it freely. So therefore, there are a lot of situations where I ended up using this phone folded in half versus using the inner screen. I would say I probably use the outside screen maybe 60 to 70% of the time compared to the inner screen. And when I open up the phone, I noticed that it doesn't fold completely flat, which is odd, but at the same time, this is the first generation of phone for Google. So I do expect some weird quirks like that here and there. When I used the Galaxy Z Fold in the past, I don't ever remember experiencing a situation where the phone doesn't fold completely flat. I think Samsung does a better job with that. But with Google Pixel Fold, in addition to the hinge not being able to close completely flat, when you can push it down a little bit, it doesn't feel comfortable or right. Especially since it's a $2,000 phone and you could potentially break it, so I don't want to use a lot of force. And in addition to that, with this giant camera bar hovering, when you have it flat on the table, the phone wobbles a lot. So you're playing games or you're just interacting with the screen, it does tend to wobble. And I don't know, I thought I would be more excited about this phone after using it, but I'm starting to see there are more flaws and more cons than there is pros. Even though viewing angle is weird, and for some reason, the crease in the middle really stand out to me, much more than when I used the Galaxy phones. I'm not sure why, couldn't quite put my finger on it. Maybe because of the fact that it doesn't close completely flat and the camera make it bulge up a little bit more. When I'm watching this thing in the bathroom while I'm brushing my teeth, I have a bunch of lights in my bathroom. For some reason, they reflect right in the middle. And as a result, if I'm watching a video where somebody's talking, the face can be a little distorted, so I had to shift the phone around and play around with the viewing angle. So that's something that it is a little bit funky about owning a folding phone. So even though it is super expensive at this point, I don't think it is really ready for most normal everyday consumer. It would take a while for the price to come down, but this time it is more for people willing to pay the premium to experience it first. But at the end of the day, it is still a first generation foldable from Google. Even from Samsung, even though they have 5th generation of their Fold, it hasn't really changed that much year to year. They refined the hinge a little bit, they bumped up the specs here and there, but the crease itself is still there. It's just a weird technology that is somewhat flawed. Since the smartphone space has been so boring and stagnant, no one else is really doing anything new, and only Samsung is really pushing these display, and we're seeing more and more competitors enter the space as well. So I would say most normal people wouldn't and shouldn't spend $1,800 on this phone. There are a lot of weird flaws with it. And the base model comes with 256GB of storage, which is fine. That should be the new standard going forward. But when I was looking at my Galaxy S20, I had the 128GB model, and with my S20, I have a 400GB memory card on there, so I essentially have the 512 storage on a 3-year-old phone. So it's just something that caught my attention. Obviously, you can pay more for more storage, and Pixel has never been known for their micro SD, but it was just something that I happened to notice, that this $2,000 phone have half the storage of my Galaxy S20 from 3 years ago. And this phone's really meant for Pixel enthusiasts who are willing to take a lot of risk, and people who literally want a portable tablet in their pocket at all time. But I question how feasible or really useful that is, because even me playing simple games like this Pokemon trading card game, it is very buggy and the screen is not optimized. So to find that I lose a lot of games by default just because my screen is not working properly, I can't interact with it. And it's super annoying. So ironically, I have to play this game with my screen closed. So even though I have a folding phone, I have to use it closed. And with this phone being closed, it's actually shorter than my Google Pixel 7a. So it's 7a is about half an inch or so longer. So with these newer technology and the weird screen aspect ratio between the front passport display and the inside large display, it's a tablet, but not really. I feel like tablets are more optimized and work better. But these half phone, half tablets, I find that a lot of apps works really weird. I haven't really used a whole bunch of apps, to be honest. It's only been a day, but I just play Pokemon trading card game and I noticed a lot of bugs just in that one game alone. And it's not a really intensive game either. It's just dragging cards back and forth, but just the screen is not displayed properly, and I find it very annoying that I had to use my front screen. Even though this is a $2,000 phone, it would have been nice to use the bigger screen and have it fully optimized. And for $1,800, you really have to ask yourself, is this really the right phone for you? Because it is a lot of compromise. You can easily just spend anywhere, I don't know, $800, $900 on the Google Pixel 7 Pro, and then spend another $900 and get a really good tablet. You will have two devices, but at least the tablet will serve its purpose, and the phone will have the best specs and everything on there that money can buy. I don't know. I like the idea of a folding phone, but I feel like at this point, if you're gonna spend this much, you might be better off just buying two separate devices, or even spending $1,000 on a 65-inch TV or something. If you really want to be immersive in your screen, you can get a lot of good TVs in that price range. And after day one of using this phone, I woke up at roughly 3 a.m. in the morning to feed my baby. Phone was already at 100%, so I just left it uncharged for the rest of the day, and it's pretty much just laying there. By the time I wake up, I just use it periodically throughout the day. Nothing crazy. I'm just doing chores, taking care of my newborn, running around the house, have YouTube music playing, and by 5:30 p.m. my phone is at 20%. So that's usually around the mark where that's usually around the mark where you get the battery warning. So that's usually when I call the phone technically dead, even though it'll last you another hour or two. At least on the surface, being unplugged since 3 a.m. and lasting to 5:30 p.m. is still 15 and a half hours of battery life, which is pretty solid. Depending how you look at it, I guess. If you're working from 9 to 5, that would be considered a full day of work phone. But depending when you start your day, most people don't start their day at 3 a.m. It's happening to unplug my phone at that time. But at least it just shows it has a pretty good standby time. And throughout the day, I use the phone as I'm walking around, brushing my teeth, just doing chores around the house. And even that, managed to get 15 and a half hours of battery life on the first day. And all my apps and everything is finished installing at this point. Overnight, I was transferring video files from my Galaxy S20 over to my Pixel Fold. So it is somewhat moderate to heavy usage, but overall I think the battery life is pretty promising, given the fact that I unplugged it so early. But on a normal day, I'll probably begin my day at 8 or 9 a.m. and it would no doubt make it to bedtime. But we shall see. After day one, those are some of my initial thoughts. Let me know if there's anything else you guys want me to cover. You have any questions, concerns, any comparisons you want me to make. I'll continue to do a deep dive on this phone going forward. But as usual, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Please check out my day one unboxing video if you haven't already. And see you guys in the next video.